Wait a second. From what I understand, from the origins of history, in every civilization, there are records of the communities believing in God.
They didn't believe in a God. They believed in a civilization from the sky, from
Gods in the sky.
not gods. They never said gods. Or
Anunnaki?
yes, Annunaki.
Okay. Who are the Anunnaki to them?
People from space.
Okay. People from space that created the human civilizations, right? Even if we came from Anunnaki, like the Sumerians believed, that's still a higher power to us. Okay, you don't like the word God, I can see. Okay, forget the word God, call it higher power. Would you accept that there's a higher power?
Yes.
Good, so I turned him from an atheist to an agnostic to a believer. God bless you, man. There you go. So even the smartest of the smart have to admit that there's some higher power.
Christ's forgiveness of
Christ's forgiveness.
Christ's forgiveness ministry.
Christ's forgiveness ministry.
Ministries.
Just you are denying things like evolution with you're saying about Adam and Eve. They were supposed to be here before dinosaurs.
I'm not denying. First of all, I never denied or even accepted evolution in this conversation. I never said anything. I don't.
According to the Bible, that's what you are.
The Bible doesn't talk about evolution, but what it does say that this thing beyond your understanding brought things in a sequential pattern, just like evolution says. It's actually funny because the pattern of creation in the Bible is the same pattern as evolution. Okay, we see that there was a light source before the rest of the things, and that vegetation came before human beings, and animals came before human beings, you might not call it 6 days, but what's the difference with saying that a being with all power or whatever brought everything into being could do it in 6 days versus 6 million years? I mean, you assume. Look, you say you weren't. Listen, you say you weren't there, and you don't know for sure. But if there is a higher power, I can tell you that technology has expanded, that where it would have took somebody 40 years to build a temple, in our modern day, we can probably build a temple in a week. Okay? So what I'm trying to tell you is that whoever has the power to create could do it in a day versus do it in 6 million years.
Yes.
Based on what we know. Now, I would imagine if we as human beings exist for the next 50 million years, we'll probably know how to transport from here to China without taking a plane, because now we can communicate with a cell phone. So while it seems impossible, like 6 days, come on, man, that's weird. But I think it's weird to communicate with someone on a cell phone. I don't even fully understand how I could just click a button and talk to someone in Hong Kong right now. Like, how fast is that? That's fast.
There is a scientific explanation.
There is a scientific explanation that we discovered. Right. But you just haven't discovered the mysteries of the universe yet.
There's been like more than 15,000 years since we know like civilization with a recording script. They still don't have proof about God or any religion. They say that they can prove religion, they can't. 15,000 years and they still can't prove it.
Wait a second. From what I understand, from the origins of history, in every civilization, there are records of the communities believing in God. In fact, this idea of atheism is in fact new. This is new. But believing in God is very ancient. In fact, that's the original idea, because whoever was there first believed in a God. Look at your oldest civilizations that you have. Sumerians, did they believe in a God?
No.
They didn't believe in a God. Come on.
They believe.
Okay, we're gonna talk. I'm gonna give you can somebody give him a card? Somebody hand out the cards to the people that need one.
Yeah, I will take it.
Stop being lazy evangelists.
Okay. They didn't believe in a God. They believed in a civilization from the sky, from
Gods in the sky.
not gods. They never said gods. Or
Anunnaki?
Yes, Annunaki.
Okay, so you're telling me something I already knew, and those are gods. Anunnaki.
Yeah, but there is an entire civilization of gods, not just one god.
Okay.
According to Sumerian.
Again, now you're telling me they didn't believe in a god, and now you're telling me the Anunnaki was a civilization of gods.
No, you're telling that. Because
No,
you say that they
I'm
are
not
gods.
talking about whether they believed in one god or many gods. I'm talking about they believed in a higher power, whether they call it gods. Okay, so who are the Anunnaki to them?
People from space.
Okay, people from space that created the human civilizations, right? That created human civilization.
They didn't know anything about space at that time. They just know that people came from the skies.
Okay, so they knew that people came from the skies. I can tell you that the Bible records that angelic beings came from the skies. I can tell you that God created the heavens and the earth. I mean, the Bible says there's angelic beings. They're not gods. So even if they believed in Anunnaki, they believed in higher powers that brought about human civilization. Okay, they believed in a higher power that brought about human civilization. Would you agree?
No, like a greater power. It's just
Let's not.
more advanced technology.
Okay, are you saying that they believe that human beings came from the Anunnaki?
Could be.
Hey man, I thought you knew, man. Like, come on. I'm talking things I know.
It's what I'm saying. People could come from space because that sounds more logical than creating something from nothing.
Okay, at the end of the day, man, listen. Even if we came from Anunnaki, like the Sumerians believed, that's still a higher power to us because it has more power than us to create us, right? That's our origins, right? Okay. What I'm trying to say is the oldest civilizations, my point was they believed in a god. I'm not saying or a god's higher power, which is what we call God. So, okay, you don't like the word God, I can see. Okay, forget the word God, call it higher power. Would you accept that there's a higher power?
Yes.
Good. So I turned him from an atheist to an agnostic to a believer. God bless you, man. There you go. So even the smartest of the smart have to admit that there's some higher power. I don't care if you call him God. That's an English word. The Bible doesn't call him God. It calls him Elohim. So it's not about the word. It's about the concept, the meaning.
So we advance on that. So why this God has to be so selective on who he loves and who he doesn't love?
God, the Anunnaki, the higher power, whatever you want to call it, it's not that he's selective. It's just that there's principles that keep human civilization going. The higher power wants to see healthy patterns so that creation can continue and thrive. Just like you would want your kids to go to school and learn, just like you would want, I hope you would want your kids to eat healthy. Now, it's not that you're selective and you hate your kids for having a chocolate bar, but you want them to grow up and be healthy. And if you don't, then I'm going to have to call Children's Aid on you, and they're going to approve what I have to say. They're going to monitor and say, well, you're not feeding your kids right. You're not taking care of your kids. Why do we have legal systems that care so much about our welfare? Why do we have doctors? Why do we have CAMH, Center of Mental Health Addiction? Because there are certain destructive tendencies that we do as human beings that are not appropriate. We are selective as human beings. We put people in jail. We penalize people that do negative things. So God is the same. The higher power is the same. He loves you so much to tell you that some things you do are destroying yourself and others around you, and that can't happen.
So why then people that believe in other gods can't go to your heaven or your hell? Or I mean, like,
Say that again.
okay, people that believes in another gods, they're going to the hell you think that exists, and they can't access to the heaven that you say or you claim to exist only for your religion or your god.
Other gods. Okay, I'm going to tell you something. No, listen. If it's the same God, it wouldn't be an other God. Other gods have other viewpoints. Other viewpoints lead to other paths. For instance, a Muslim does not believe Jesus died on the cross. Now, if Jesus did die on a cross and that's the way for salvation, that God is leading people away from salvation. So the reason why they're called other gods is because it's not the same God. And because it's not the same God, it's not the same direction. Now, just because somebody says, I believe in God, it doesn't mean it's the right God. People worship trees. People pray to a rock in Mecca. People worship Mary and bow down to statues. Mary's not God. I don't care. You can call her God. You can bow down to her. You can wear the rosary and do Hail Mary 10 times a day. But Mary's not the way to God. It's Jesus. So just because someone says they believe in God, you see, we're so politically correct, we don't want to say the truth. Now, I can say I worship H&M, but you're going to look at me and say I'm crazy. That's not the higher power, dude. Like, yes, it is. I worship the H&M God. All right, man. All power to you, man, but that's not going to bring you anywhere. All that's going to lead you to is looking sexy and probably being picked up or by some man that wants to have sex with you.
I understand what you're saying, but there are religions that they are older than yours. Why yours is the right one? Why?
Well, I don't believe. Listen, there might be religions that appear older than mine because they had more records where they had power at a time that they could record. Listen. The original people were worshipers of one God because they were the closest to that one God, and they passed that down through their lineage. And even, how does it work? Well, we have Adam and Eve. How does it work?
Who they were? Who were they?
Who were they? According to the Bible, it was Adam and Eve. That's who they were. And they walked in the presence of God and they disobeyed God because they were deceived by an Annunaki called Satan. And he was a fallen angel, deceived them, and they decided to go their own way. Well, actually, no. For a second, they decided to go their own way. God showed up. No, I'm just using your terminology since you don't like the word God or higher powers. So that fallen angel, that being from outer space, deceived Adam and Eve. And that's the origin of our generations. And the funny thing is a lot of biblical stories are recorded in multiple sources. For instance, the flood story in Africa, China, all over the world. Even though it's not in the Bible, every civilization recorded a major flood that happened a long time ago, and somebody got on a boat and tried to save the animals.
Stories like the one from Jesus, the same story.
We have
Horus, we have more ancient, like the Anunnakis. They have a similar story.
The only problem with Osiris and whatever that other person's name is that we don't have any physical records of them actually existing, but we have physical records of Jesus Christ. No, we have records of the philosophy and the religion, but we actually know that Jesus was a living human being that was recorded by extra biblical sources from Jews that didn't believe, from historians that didn't believe, and they recorded that the man named Jesus lived, he did miracles, they believed that he was God in the flesh, and that he suffered, bled, and died and rose again. So this is an historical fact.
Who told the Egyptians about Ra?
I don't know. Same who told the Greeks about Zeus and who told them. I mean, we don't have any physical lineage of Zeus. In fact, no. My point is that we have more historical data and proof that Jesus actually existed than any of those other things that you just mentioned.
They are older. They are older civilizations. So the transcriptions from their civilization were destroyed for another civilization, came to conquer. Just like Christianism came to America and destroyed.
Sure. Well, you know what? Islam took over Egypt at the time, and Christianity took up Egypt at the time. But both of them believe Jesus existed. Both of them believe somebody died on the cross. Both of them believe he was born of a virgin. What I'm trying to say is, there's always going to be philosophies that come and go, but the truth will always stand the test of time. And Jesus said, "I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man comes unto the Father but by me." Now, you can be confused about it and say, what about this religion, this one? At the end of the day, listen, you got to look into it. But at the end of the day, you said you believe in a higher power. So look into it. One of them is right, one of them is wrong. Or some of them are right, but one of them is right. Some of them's wrong and one of them's right. So at the end of the day, if there is a higher power out there, you have to ask yourself, why did he create you? And look at all these religious sources and see what they say. See if it makes sense. See if there's historicity to it. And what you're going to discover is the book that has the most historicity to it, the most evidence to it, the most backing to it is the Bible. And so it's either you accept it or you don't. Listen, everything at the end of the day, even the knowledge you have, comes from a source. You got to either trust it, have faith, or don't. It's up to you. But there is a God, there is a higher power. And that God, that higher power loves you, and he's calling you back to himself, to the right way of living. And I'm going to tell you something. There is a right way of living. There's a healthy way of living. The right God directs you to that path. Find that path and you're going to bump into Jesus.